I'm not going to sugarcoat it. What you're really doing here is you're becoming an entrepreneur. I like to say being an entrepreneur is really a journey in personal development disguised as an entrepreneurial adventure. All right. So this is all supposed to be fun and games, right? But it's not. It's a journey.
What other limiting beliefs have you come across that you think that maybe artists might struggle with?
So the way I think about limiting beliefs is really three things. It's an assumption about the wider world. It's an assumption about other people, or maybe it's an assumption about ourselves.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever the case may be, wherever you are. This is the Emerging Artist Podcast. I'm Scott Markowitz. And in a second, we're going to join our conversation for part 2 with Andrea Liebross. Now, you guys know that both Cherie, Nicole, and I are coaches for different types of artists. And this was an amazing conversation that we had with another coach. Andrea Liebross is amazing at helping people who feel burned out to transform themselves and get past some of those really more difficult hurdles. If you're somebody who's looking for a coach, my advice to you is to find somebody who gets coached by somebody else. And this is not about you got to find a coach who's smarter than you or better than you. That shouldn't be the criteria. You're looking for a coach who's got your back. That's what the game is about, right? So a good coach, they're able to recognize in others their weak points, their blind spots, right? Think of it this way. A doctor who needs to get their appendix out, they're not going to climb on the table and start cutting away with a scalpel on themselves. A good doctor is going to invest in having another physician, another surgeon take care of them, right? And I want to jump right back into this conversation with Andrea Liebross because I really think she's an amazing coach. Let's get to it.
Welcome, Andrea. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, Andrea, welcome to the show. We have so many questions.
All right. Hopefully I've got some answers.
There's probably some folks out there, Andrea, that are listening to this and they're thinking, that sounds hard though, right? Creating some kind of stroke of lightning to light a fire underneath me to take this massive action. That seems hard. And they're thinking that because they've already given up so much. They've already given up, in a lot of cases, their relationships, their own peace of mind. Sometimes they've given up their financial freedom in exchange for the creative freedom that they truly want. In a lot of cases, speaking from my own standpoint, I traded in my health also. There's so many things that people have given up in order to just try to get by and just be in that frustrated parking lot. So what do you say to those people who are just not feeling like they can even muster up that energy to get that big initial spark of action?
Yep. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. What you're really doing here is you're becoming an entrepreneur, right? So you're wearing multiple hats here. You've got your creative hat on. So you are the creator, okay? You are creating, for lack of a better word, a product that can be sold, okay? Or you're providing a service to someone, like you're coming in and painting their walls, right? And creating something for them. So there's a service or a product. So that's probably why you got into this in the first place, because you're okay with that part. Now you've got to wear another hat, which is business owner hat. And that business owner hat sometimes gets side shuffled into being a salesperson hat or a manager hat or a negotiator hat. And those are the hats that are hard to keep on. So the being an entrepreneur part, I like to say being an entrepreneur is really a journey in personal development disguised as an entrepreneurial adventure. All right. So this is all supposed to be fun and games, right? But it's not. It's a journey. So you have to be ready to be on the journey, and you have to kind of ask yourself, how long am I willing to stay on the journey, or how long am I willing to work at getting to the destination, regardless of time, money, or what anyone else thinks? Regardless of how much time you think you have, regardless of how much it's going to cost, regardless of all those opinions out there, what anyone else thinks, are you willing to hang in there? Because if you're not willing to hang in there, or assess how long you're willing to hang in there, that's good info. If you're not really all in, that is so okay. There's no judgment there, but just know that about yourself.
Yeah.
Right? There's no you're judging yourself. Sometimes people say, I just have to have the confidence to do it. Yes, no, not having the confidence and getting mad at yourself that you don't, you're judging yourself there. Like, you could go work at Target, it's okay. Like, whatever. Or you could go, there's so many other ways, but you have to be all in. And this is a distinction that I think is really important, actually, especially for artists. Are you interested in growing this into a business, or are you committed? So there's a difference between being interested and being committed. And this is the litmus test of that.
Yeah. And I think an important thing to bring up at this point, Andrea, is that it's okay. You already said that there's no judgment involved, but you do have to have that vision of what you want to create in your mind. And it has to be super clear for you to be able to assess whether or not you're willing to do what it takes to get it. Even if you ultimately decide not to pursue it, at least now it's your decision, you own it, and you can move out of the frustrated parking lot because you've made a decision.
Yeah, like, you're happy, you're okay.
Yep.
If you're happy creating whatever you're creating when you have time for it, and great. So one of my clients, an artist who is a mom and a daughter and a spouse, her kids now are all in their late 20s, and she is all in at this point. And she is the first to admit, actually, I've recorded 2 of my own podcast episodes with her. Her name's Michelle Capizzi. If anyone wants to go search for those episodes. Yeah. She will admit in those episodes that when her kids were younger, she was dabbling. And for a while, she wasn't doing any painting at all. And she was frustrated by that, but now reflecting on it, she was okay with it at that point. There were other priorities. But now, at where she is in life, she's all in. So no judgment that she wasn't all in 15 years ago, right? She's all in now. And so
absolutely,
there's a case a little bit of the parking lot she was in, but now she's shifted into a different parking lot where she's going for it. And actually right now, 90% of what she's doing is commission work, and she's loving it. She's got a waiting list. She can't keep up.
Wonderful.
So who would have ever thought? That's she has to bring herself is this reality? Is this really happening?
Oh, that's cool.
Yes, it's happening. But there's no judgment about where she was at one point.
Right.
So but then she had to really decide, okay, my vision now at age late 50s, whatever she's in, is different than my vision when I was 35. It's 55, it's different. And I need to know those action steps.
Yeah, commitment when you're ready for that. Like you said, you think about the time, the money, and you don't worry about also what other people think. And you had mentioned also in your book about limiting beliefs. And I know in my own situation with friends and family, well-meaning, but the whole thought of being an artist as a successful career was never an option. And still to this day, people consider, that's a nice hobby. That's not a career.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, isn't that sweet?
Oh, that's so nice for you. Yes. Yeah, isn't that sweet? And so artists have to always, still to this day, deal with those kind of comments, but just move past it and just keep on doing what you want to do. What other limiting beliefs have you come across that you think that maybe artists might struggle with?
So the way I think about limiting beliefs is really 3 things. It's an assumption about the wider world. It's an assumption about other people, or maybe it's an assumption about ourselves, right? So if you think about what you just said, that artist thing, I don't know, might be a nice hobby, but it's never going to be a career.
Right.
Says who?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I don't know where that got started, actually.
But it's like a wider world sort of thing, right?
It is.
Like your parents are never going to let you do that. You can't go to college and then just go be a starving artist, right? That's the thing that people say.
They do.
Yeah. And you think maybe I could, but then you think about why you can't or shouldn't. Okay. I want to create a business out of this, but maybe I shouldn't because it's just not something that the world looks upon with admiration, right? Or I want to start selling my art, my creations, but I don't want to seem pushy, right? Or if you think about your limiting beliefs keep you out of success or new challenges or achievement. So a limiting belief is really like a misunderstanding of the present that shortchanges our future. A guy named Michael Hyatt said that, and I love that quote. So a limiting belief is a misunderstanding of the present that shortchanges our future. Okay, so who says you can't create your livelihood or your career or a business out of creating art? That is not a fact. It's just a thought. Mm-hmm. And a belief, by definition, is an acceptance that a statement is true.
Right.
So that acceptance part is really critical. If you're accepting a statement like that as true, when you really have no idea if they're true for you, then you're stopping or limiting your future.
Yeah.
We can't prove in a court of law that an artist cannot create income to support themselves through art. That is not something that we can prove in a court of law.
So if we can't artist, prove that, not a dead one.
Yeah, not a dead one.
To that point, Andrea, what do you think about the idea that maybe it's to the artist's benefit sometimes to keep their vision to themselves? Do you think that there's some value in not always sharing with everybody what your big, audacious vision is?
No, because then I think what happens is that you start to make your belief a reality for yourself. I think that you need to practice, I'll call it shouting from the rooftops, you're all in.
Yeah.
I think you have to start shouting from the rooftops that this is happening for you, right? That's it. So if you're not willing to experience the 3 seconds of feeling yucky or doubting yourself or uncomfortableness of shouting it from the rooftops, then it's not going to happen. So I like to say sometimes confidence is the willingness to experience all the feelings. If you're not willing to experience that feeling that you're going to get when someone gives you how's that little business going? Are you still painting? Oh yeah.
People pay you to do that, really?
Yeah, really? Like someone's gonna pay what for that? My 3-year-old could do that. That's like the cliche. Right?
I agree with that, I think 99.9% of the time. Unless the 0.1% is your spouse.
Tell me more about that.
I think that maybe this is just like a guys versus gals thing, but I think that sometimes there's value if I protect, and I'm strategically using that word, protect my wife from my big vision, because it can scare her sometimes. And so I'll talk to everybody else under the sun about it, but my wife, until I get close, until there's some evidence that is achievable.
And now she's going to listen to this podcast and know you.
And now there's going to be a lot of questions when I get home.
Yeah. Because why do you not want to tell her? Because of the questions?
No. Because of the anxiety it will induce in her.
Okay, because the anxiety it will induce in her, which then what will happen to you?
Nothing would happen to me. I mean, like, she might push back against the idea. She might resist it. But I'm trying to protect her from the discomfort of feeling that anxiety to begin with. Like, I feel like I'm confident in my vision and I'm confident in my ability to produce it. And I can feel okay about waiting a month or two to tell her about that when there's some action that has been taken to give her some evidence that it's going to be something that can be seen through to the end.
Work out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, it totally makes sense.
I've done the same thing when it's come to my own family.
Yeah, they get scared for you.
They do. I start talking about future plans, and all they see is like big dollar signs flying through the sky.
Or they see you falling on your face.
Yes, and they see you, they see you failing at something, and you've invested all this money and it didn't work. So I'm very selective in the things that I decide to share.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I think, the word selective, I think, is important.
But other people know. Other people that are supportive to me know. And not that they aren't supportive. It's just they're not in the same industry. My family really just does not understand at all.
Yeah.
And
I would say it's not just the not understanding, it's the emotional attachment they have.
They care about you.
If I tell a stranger, hey, I'm going to open up a studio within the next 3 months, I don't care what they think. If they think I can do it or not.
So this brings up a really good point. Your spouse or your family, their job is to love you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Their job. That's like their ultimate job. Okay. And they want to see you happy, smiley, succeeding.
Correct.
They don't want to see you, we'll call it like struggling or uncomfortable or putting in hours and hours or putting resources, time, money, energy towards something that may not materialize in the way you hope it does. Right? I always like to say to remind people, like, what's the worst thing that could happen? The worst thing that can happen is it doesn't work or you don't get the result you're looking for. That's about it. And you feel yucky in the process. That's it. Okay? You could say, oh, I lost money. I like to think about things as you're either winning or learning. So you didn't really lose money. You just learned that this use of money isn't going to work. But your spouse doesn't want to see you go through that process. Okay? So no wonder you're hesitating in telling them.
Yeah.
So their job, though, is not to support you through this. Their job is to just love you. Their job is to not point out all of the ups and downs and ins and outs. And even though they might want to try to do that and think they're being helpful, but they're only pointing those out because they don't want you to suffer in the process, which may have a trickle-down effect, and they suffer. So there's a trickle-down effect. So one of the tenets of being a big thinker or like going for something big, which is what you're describing, Scott, is securing support. Okay. And I think this is a place where a lot of people go wrong. When I say, who's supporting you in this? People, oh, my family, my spouse, everybody's super supportive. Whatever I think, they're gonna support me. They just say, whatever I think, go for it. Okay. Their job is to just love you. Their job is not necessarily to support, to push you, guide you, be a partner through the good, the bad, and the ugly. You need to seek support outside of your family. So when you've got support outside of your family, and even if it's just like the stranger at the coffee shop who's saying, yeah, go for it, that's the support that's going to keep you going. But the spousal or the partner or family support is not necessarily going to keep you going, because that comes with a lot of angst on their part. So when I work with my clients, I can be the neutral party. I can be the devil's advocate, and I call it like stay out of the pool.
I love that.
I like that. Yeah.
I love your analogies.
Right? So your spouse, though, like they're going to jump in the pool with you, and you don't really need another person in the pool with you. So you need someone else to not jump in the pool with you. So if that means, I always say to my clients, if they're trying to make an investment, even in coaching, and I need to talk about it with my spouse. Okay, many people do that, but who's the ultimate decision maker here of your business or what your vision? Like, your spouse doesn't have to have as much belief in your vision as you do, right? So you have to stay grounded in your own vision, and you have to be the ultimate decider, not them. And I think once you start to mix everything together, it's only going to hold you back, not because they're trying to be mean, or not because they're trying to be disheartened, or not because they're trying to not be encouraging. It's just like their job is just to love you and stay out of the mess. So let them love you and let you go do your own thing. So I think it's normal to go back to your original thing. It is normal to have anxiety over having these conversations with your partner or spouse, but you've got to be like so committed that regardless of what they think, you are willing to go through this.
Yes.
Yeah. Agreed. Definitely.
Yeah. And that's a hard place to say. That's
It
a
is.
hard, yeah.
Especially because you're getting the mixed messages. You're getting all that,
Yeah.
not pessimism, just like cautionary language directed at you. Like,
That's a very diplomatic
yeah,
way
thank
of
you.
putting
Thank you,
it.
Sharon. That's why I've been married for 30 years. Because I'm very diplomatic.
Yeah.
But I love that you said their job is to love you. And I think just that simple statement, it personally makes me feel a lot better. And that is true. It is just their job to love me. They don't have to support my business, but I do feel like it does help to be selective in what I choose to share. And then center myself around people like yourself and those on the business side of it that aren't related, that you can get that support that you need on the business side.
So I love, Andrea, that you are providing so much from your stance as a coach. You're providing so much to help the artist develop the necessary mindset and the tools that they would need to become a business owner. And then once you build that foundation, you're able to shift your coaching right into some of the more meat and potatoes kinds of things. I think that's really cool that you're able to help people through the entire journey.
Yep. Full meal deal.
That's wonderful.
Whole thing. I'm in it for everything because this is a journey, right? This is a journey and you can navigate these things along the way. And you don't really know sometimes what your next hurdle is going to be until you get there.
True.
Yeah. So that's why I love doing this. And I am so willing to help anyone who wants help navigating this. And that Vision to Action Intensive is a great place to start.
So I do have a question before we wrap up. When people finally get out of that frustrated future parking lot and they get to their destination, is there a level of growth that happens where the parking lot automatically resets underneath your feet and you find yourself back at the Resigned Pain parking lot?
Yeah. In my book, I have a diagram. I call it like these loop-de-loop sort of things.
Okay.
Where you go through stages of business growth. You've got a belief that something can happen. You actually start to take action on it. You get to what I call the messy middle, which is at the top of the loop. And then you work through it and make progress. And then here it comes again. Next time it's a bigger loop, right? You've got another, like the next stage, and then it keeps going. The good news here is the messy middle stays the same size. So relative to these loops, it gets smaller and things get easier. But it is just kind of where you're at.
Yeah.
And you have to be, again, are you really ready for the journey? And it is okay if at any point you bow out, right? But my advice is you've got to stay committed, at least getting through that first loop, and recognize that this isn't for just the people who are interested. This is for committed. But the reward at the end is amazing.
Yes.
So you got to keep your eye on the prize. We're using a lot of analogies, but
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love your analogies. I think they're, especially for artists who have very vivid imaginations, I think this is very crystal clear, the analogies that you've drawn up. And
yeah, it's, if you're an artist and like, think about a little bubbling brook. Okay. There's a little creek, there's a river, and we could swim down that river of misery because it's got a very strong current. I think it's called the river of misery. Right. But on one side of the river is like the land of impossible. Okay. So there's no way this could ever get off the ground. On the other side of the river is the land of inevitable. And there's a wooden bridge that goes, little planks, like this is like the idyllic artist picture here, that there's a little wooden bridge with planks, and it's a semicircle, like an archway. And you want to get from that land of impossible to the land of inevitable. And as you go over the bridge and you step plank by plank, at the peak of the bridge, as it goes over the river of misery, is the land of possible. And I think once you can get yourself to a place, or if you can get support to get yourself from the side of the bank of impossible to the peak of the bridge, which is possible, the way down, the way to the inevitable becomes a lot more fun, and it goes a lot faster. So I think part of the beauty of what I do is I help you get over that bridge and move you from impossible to inevitable. And it happens. Go to those podcasts with Michelle. You'll see what I mean.
That's another great analogy. I love that.
Yeah.
The peak of the bridge is the possible. I love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's very cool. Is there anything, Andrea, that you'd like to add, knowing that you're talking to a group of artists?
I think the work that you all do, like, there needs to be more of it in the world. And I think artists, for some reason, are hindered by a lot of limiting beliefs and stay in these parking lots a lot longer than others.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I would, yeah. And for whatever reason, and we could have a whole other podcast on that, but I think if you can get yourself to a place of thinking bigger, and we didn't really touch on that, but if you read the book, She Thinks Big, or come listen to my podcast, She Thinks Big, same title, you're going to start to infuse or immerse yourself in that thinking bigger space, and that's what's going to get you going. And I would welcome, if anyone wants to chat about it or explore what having support to do that looks like, I am always open for a conversation. And you can go to Andrea's with an S, links with an S, andreaslinks.com. You're going to find links to the book and to the podcast, and also to setting up a call with me and a quiz. There's a quiz on there. Everybody loves quizzes. It's like a diagnostic in what is keeping you back. What
That's
is
wonderful.
keeping you in those parking lots. So go take that quiz, and I think you'll find it super helpful. And come follow me on social media. I know most artists are on Instagram, so Andrea.Liebross.coaching, and I'm going to guess you guys will have that in the show notes, but follow me on Instagram there, and we can chat that way too.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you so much, Andrea. It's been wonderful visiting with you, and I think just a lot of very helpful information that you've provided. We really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much. And I just encourage everybody to pull the release on that parking brake and get out of the parking lot, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
I love it.